Dumbledore self there. I am Snickers. This is Nick Snack. This is the Snick Snack Sports Fantasy Football Podcast, bringing you the Mansfield Penn State Fantasy Football League. How you doing today, Nick?
Doing great. It's an exciting finals week this week. We're coming to you on Friday. We've already had one of the matchups in, but it was a bit of a slog last night, from what I understand. But we have an exciting finals matchup between two teams that were very strong this year. You excited to watch this week, Nick?
I'm very excited. Obviously, Shane's been in the playoffs a couple times, but he's never even been close to a finals appearance. And Katie hasn't been. She got second place last year, but she hasn't been, very relevant over the last 5-6 years, ever since her last chip in 2016.
Yeah. I think it's a big year for the both. I mean, Katie was in the finals last year, as I always forget, but she never, I think it was kind of a fluky thing. It felt like she wasn't, I think she barely made the playoffs. This year she was dominant from kind of week 3 on. And now we did have a little bit of a snafu where she didn't set her lineup. I think she's off skiing today. She won't be joining us. But Shane is willing to forgive and forget, from what we understand, and let her make a switch. We'll see if the commish allows for it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a super fun matchup this week to watch. Let's look at the standings and see what happens last week here.
Yeah. So taking a look at the here, I'll pull up our commissioner's spreadsheet first, just so we can see what all the games are this week. We have let's look at the consolation bracket first. The last 2 places were decided. Carson did get 11th, and John did get last place. Feel free to submit any thoughts on how we should punish him. I don't think we decided anything in advance, but would love to punish John regardless. Now in 9th place, you actually find yourself, Snickers, in the game, or sorry, the 7th place game between you and mid-tier Nick. I know mid-tier Nick is fighting for mid-tier glory. And you are officially kind of come back here in these playoffs.
Yeah, no, I had some kind of rally here, and I'm predicted not to win right now, but I would like to keep up my streak of not losing to Nick this year. I did not lose to him in the regular season. He's one of my 4 wins I had. So
yeah, you and me both. I think ESPN has us as his nemesis, as in he rarely loses, or we rarely lose to him.
Right.
Although I did lose to him big last week, which has put him in this position. And that put me in the 9th place game versus Kenny. Kenny has really fallen. He almost made the playoffs, and he could end up in 10th place, which would really hurt. But I would also love to get that 9th, where he's projected to beat me. And then in the regular bracket, the one we all care about, we have already seen that Matt's officially in 6th, Ducky's officially in 5th, and then for the bronze medal, we have Kyler versus Kyle. And then in the finals, we have Shane, who will be joining us a little later, and Katie, as we previewed.
Yeah, it should be very exciting because obviously I had Katie winning the whole thing. You had Shane winning the whole thing. At least we both got our finals picks to the finals here.
Yeah, exactly. So here you can actually see your brackets. You did call the Katie game correctly. It was against Kyle, not Matt, but doesn't matter. Katie's moving on. You get the point. And then in me, I still have a perfect bracket so far. Called the Katie versus Shane finals. So it's going to be, we want to call it an impossible task for you to catch up, but it's officially impossible. But we could both be earning, or one of us could be earning 2 more points in the last round here. Well, speaking of which, tell us about the bet last week.
Yeah, last week we were looking at Shane's matchup against Kyler and looking at Dalvin Cook versus Josh Jacobs and talking about this a little before the show. I'm always a little surprised that my picks, I'm not picking rationally in the time frame or getting unlucky or exactly how it works here. But obviously Josh Jacobs did not perform very well at all. None on the Raiders did last week. And Nate got another point by picking Dalvin Cook correctly.
Yeah, you've had some terrible luck there because I never hate your picks, but it has been going my way a lot, which officially leaves us right now at 15-5. So it does seem like the karaoke is coming your way. So people start brainstorming some ideas. for what Snickers may sing to us. But the bet this week is concerning the finals game, and specifically Shane's team. He's been bouncing back and forth between Geno Smith, kind of his main starter, and Daniel Jones. And he's going with Daniel Jones this week. He's pivoting off the guy who got him all the success. Who do you think is going to prevail?
Yeah, I think Dan Jones definitely has a good matchup against the Colts. Obviously, Giants, if they win this week, are in the playoffs, so he's probably going to be trying to play pretty well. But I got to stick with my man Geno going up against the Jets at home this week. I think he'll be able to deliver the final nail in the coffin for hopefully your season here. If I can come back in the standings there and get the dub.
Yeah, so you're really questioning Shane's call, and so that means that I am supporting it. So I'm thinking that he made the right call. Daniel Jones will be the person who will earn him more points in these finals, and he'll need it because it's going to be a tight matchup this week, I think.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm just doing it more so you have to keep voting for Shane, and I know that makes you feel.
Yeah, it's just to keep adding to the hurt, so that this victory over you over the course of the season will be a little bit hollow in that way. Um, but tell us about the news. There was a lot going on this week in the NFL.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. Obviously, start of the week, Nathaniel Hackett, coach of the Denver Broncos, coached 15, 16 games for them, and he has been fired for probably a lot of reasons. But he's out. Another news: Derek Carr just got benched for Jarrett Stidham the rest of the year. The Raiders aren't mathematically eliminated. I'm not sure exactly why he got benched yet, but yeah, he's out. He's away from the team. He's probably not playing the rest of the year. Obviously, the Raiders probably aren't making the playoffs, but Titans last night did start Josh Dobbs in place of Malik Willis, and I only watched the first half of the game, but he did look pretty good. He was looking like making a lot of throws. News came out about two old vets, Josh Norman, back with the Carolina Panthers from barista to starting quarterback. It's going to be very exciting to watch him play this week. J.J. Watt saying this is going to be his final season. He's retiring at the end of the year. Cardinals probably wish they could have sent him off on a higher note, but David Blau from Hard Knocks in Detroit is going to be starting for the Arizona Cardinals this week, which is big news there. Big news in Florida. Blaine Gabbert was on a jet ski with his brothers and saw this helicopter go down in the water, and him and his brothers went out and saved a couple people, and he's being announced a hero there. And Tom Brady, as of yesterday, Thursday, the 29th, is officially in the NFL longer than he has not been in the NFL, which is obviously the first player to ever do that. That's just an incredibly amazing stat. You go through all middle school, high school, college before you get to the NFL, and to think that you've been doing that the same amount of time afterwards is incredible. And another sad note, that one of the football legends, Pele, died this week to colon cancer. The world really is mourning on that one, but that's news this week, Nate.
Yeah, no, thanks for the news, Snickers. That is wild about Tom Brady. I had not heard that before. Really more than half his life in the NFL, which means that he had been playing football for like 30 years.
Yeah.
Um, at least, no more than that for sure, but crazy. Um, Now we are going to have Shane on to talk about the matchups last week and how they went. All right, welcome Shane, one of our co-finalists here, playing in the against Katie. How you feeling?
Like a champion, Nate.
I mean, I hate to say it, but I picked you, as I'm sure you're well aware, which goes against my policy of rooting against you. But I thought maybe the curse would come back to bite you with my support. It seems it has not yet, but it's not never too late for some embarrassing, like 120-0 victory on Katie's part.
Could be. I understand you're very conflicted, probably feeling a little scared, but at the end of the day, your pick will be correct, and I'll be champion. That's all that matters.
Are you trying to say that I maybe had some wisdom in filling out my bracket?
I think you were in the reverse psychology mode, and you didn't really know what you were doing anymore, and it just kind of happened that you picked me in that way.
Well, I have a perfect bracket so far, so reverse psychology seems to be the way to go.
Yeah.
Let's quickly take a look at last week, because there is some interesting things that were going on there. Oh, this isn't. Here it is. So first there was Katie's match, and I'm curious what you think. This was not a very intimidating way to go into the finals for these two, 77 to 88. I think both of these teams underperformed, but I think the highlight for Katie was -10 from the lines and 0 from Nick Folk.
Yeah, that was quite the performance by the Lions. I guess you wouldn't expect Carolina to do that, but the Lions still have probably the worst defense in the league. So interesting pick. And then me, you, and her witnessed Nick Folk and his amazing performance on Saturday.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that was a direct jinx. Katie went to cheer on her favorite player, Nick Folk, in person, and what he was it doesn't say here, but I believe he was like 0 for 4 on the kicks. Some really ugly kicks in that game.
Yeah, it was a bad kicking performance. It was a bad game for Katie to witness.
Yeah, I mean, Nate, is there any consolation? I don't know if you knew this, but the 22 to 18 final was a scoregami, and you got to witness that.
I had no idea that we witnessed a scoregami. The game was a ton of fun. I mean, everyone was deflated after the first half, and it was cool to see the big comeback. And really, I think we all can agree that the turnover was a bit of bullshit because just Ramondre did fumble it, but the play should have been dead 3 seconds before that. But
yeah.
Besides the point. But on the other side, I mean, Kyle's out now, but he didn't have the consistency to pull it through. Jalen Warren didn't come through. Stephon Diggs let him down, and that really is what killed him. Gerald Everett, his flex goosed. But Shane, let's take a look at your matchup because a pretty just handy performance here. No, I mean, Trace McSorley did not come through for Kyler. What were you thinking about as you watched this matchup?
That was a bold pick by him. I very much was in favor of it, as I made fun of all the Penn State people for not drafting him on draft night. And in the semifinals, Trace McSorley goes in as a starter. So I love the cojones.
Yeah, over Joe Burrow. It wasn't like he didn't have a viable starter. He just he thought if anyone was going to get him the 50 points he needed, it was going to be Trace.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he realized he's not playing Rutgers anymore. He's playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which are a slightly better team.
It doesn't feel like by much these days, but their defense can be good sometimes. And yeah, that might have been his one and only start in his NFL career. What do you think?
Very well, could be. It looks like he's getting benched this week, so could be the last we've seen of him. But who knows? Some of these backup quarterbacks just hang around for a long time and show up every once in a while.
Yeah, I think he might go the way of Josh Rosen though. Just showed nothing, and then that was it.
To be fair, he's been in the league longer than Josh Rosen.
Trace has? I don't
He
think
was drafted in 2017, right? And Josh Rosen was 2018.
I did not realize that. I thought he was newer.
No, he graduated by the same time we graduated college.
Huh.
Maybe a year later, it sounds like, but
because he was really like kind of nobody was impressed with his college tape. I did not realize he was around that long.
Except for his leads Penn State in rushing by a quarterback, I think, in history. But yeah, he's not really suited for the NFL. Doesn't seem like so far, at least not under the lights. Maybe he like Kirk Cousins.
Right. Yeah, your team, Shane, it was pretty, just no big blow up games actually, but it didn't matter. You just needed 15 from everybody, and that about did it.
Yeah, 30 spot from George Kittle doesn't hurt. But
I now I'm seeing the 30 spot from George Kittle. That was
one of 2 or 3 tight ends that can do that.
I've stuck with him all year. He had a couple big games, mostly struggled, but the tight end position this year was so bad that there was not much else I could do, and I'm glad I stuck with him.
Yeah, and you could have got a goose from him and still won. So now I know you did a lot of fancy maneuvering with Zach Moss and Gian Jackson, who earned himself the bench, and James Cook. None of these guys ended up making it into the lineup.
No, that was just to keep him away from other people. Purely defensive move.
Really defensive. This is the time of year you can play defense on fantasy for once. But I think what we all are curious about is your strategy going into the finals. So we have a special finals song. Join in. Here we go. Oh, why is it? Here we. All right, Snickers, help me out.
Okay, so it's more facts about Trace McSorley here. I believe he wore a teen number in college. He's called the home run hitter, which is strange because it's a different sport. There is a famous rap on YouTube about him I listened to one time by a Penn State rapper who has about 1,000 views. He had a couple other ones like Saquon and things like that, which I have not listened to yet. He has a pretty cool name, I have to say. I mean, I wouldn't name my kid that, but the McSorleys obviously didn't mind naming him something silly like that.
No, it is a cool name. And now, please join us in our playoff preview. All right, Zane. Heading into the finals, let's pull up your matchup. And as a lesson to you all, don't trust iTunes. It crashes on you at the worst times. So here we have, looking ahead to the next week. We can see that right now, I know that you had made the courteous move, Shane, of giving Katie another shot at playing a starting running back. She was skiing today, maybe didn't have her attention on it. It was kind of a last minute call. With that, you're going to be projected pretty similarly.
Yeah, well, it looks like Antonio Gibson's going to be out, so her options will be Kareem Hunt or Gus Edwards. If her and the commissioner agree to replace Tony P.
Yeah, so it seems like your defense may have paid off. Not that she's a waiver wire kind of person, but Zach Moss and James Cook both may have been of interest, given that she has some time to pick someone up now.
Yeah, the waiver wire is really looking like between that 5.6 and 6.4 projection overall for running backs right now. So,
well, I am surprised Gus Edwards is so low. I know he hasn't been great, but he was getting, if I remember correctly, I think he got the most of the workload last week.
Yeah, Lamar out. They're definitely going to do more of a committee to make sure they can get everything they can against Pittsburgh Sunday night. But yeah, he's not the starting running back technically, so we'll see if he is good enough to go up against Shane here.
Yeah, assuming that she gets to replace running back, who are you most afraid of on her team, Shane?
Well, it's a tough week. It looks like some people are questionable and some guys aren't going to play because they don't need to based off the scheduling. But I guess Aaron Jones is probably the one I would be most scared of. Green Bay is trying to win, and he is certainly shown he can have blow up games every now and then.
Yeah, there are some meaningless games this week, which is weird for the third to last week of the season or second to last week of the season. And Green Bay is still in it as far as I'm aware, right?
They're 37% chance to make the playoffs right now.
Yep.
It's crazy. I totally stopped paying attention to them. And Aaron Jones hasn't been doing much of late, but his team has been. So that certainly could be. T. Higgins was hot. We saw him do very well at Gillette last weekend. Austin Eckler is not playing for anything, correct? The Chargers don't have much to get.
Not much except for dignity to win the Battle of LA.
Yep. Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play a whole lot.
Anyone on your team that you're worried about in that regard?
I guess Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the quarterback for Miami, although New England's secondary might all be out. So that could be a wash overall for Jalen Waddle. Looks like Jalen Hurts is probably going to be out again. So we'll see how Gardner Minshew does against that New Orleans defense, which can step up every once in a while. It gives Brady a lot of problems. Other than that, I think people are playing. Jacksonville doesn't have much to play for, but I don't think Jacksonville's the team that's going to lay down. I think they're going to try to keep rolling, regardless of if their game means anything or not.
Right. That's one of the empty games too, but they have a lot to prove just in terms of belonging in the playoffs, conceptually. And
Conceptually, just looking at the win loss at the end of the year, they don't want to have lost to the Texans twice.
oh, did they lose to them already?
Yeah,
Wow. Was that that must have been early in the year, right?
yeah, it was week 3 or 4, I think, when the Texans got their first win against the Jaguars.
The Jaguars are certainly a lot better now, and in terms of the Jalen Hurts issue, Shane, I mean, I think that there are a lot of backups that I trust a lot less than Gardner Minshew. So
Yeah, he is one of the better backups in the league, and they put up a good amount of points last week.
and it means they'll have to throw instead of run. I know that there's a lot more running when Jalen Hurts is involved.
Yeah, yes, there is. He takes usually 10 to 12 carries a game, so you'd think those would be passes now.
Yeah, but one other thing, we're looking at your team before the show started, Shane, and you're picking Daniel Jones to start against the Colts instead of Geno Smith against the New York Jets here. What was your thinking behind that one?
The Jets have had a pretty good defense. Geno struggled last week. Danny Dimes has a good amount of play for, and that Indy team, I could just see them rolling over right now. That's kind of what it looks like with their quarterback situation. Who knows what's going on there? So I expect Danny Dimes to be very involved in this game.
Would you be worried about them getting ahead too early, though, just given that Indianapolis is just totally given up? They might get a rushing touchdown with Saquon early, which you also would like, and then game over, kind of.
Yeah, I'm not too worried if they give the ball to Saquon a lot. That works for me as well. Daniel Jones is a rushing threat in the red zone too, so not a huge deal there. And I think the Giants don't really care about blowing teams out. They're also trying to prove themselves in the playoffs, and I don't think they'll think twice about going up by over 30 if that's a possibility.
Yeah, I can't believe that they're kind of a shoe-in for the playoffs. It seems like there's a lot of bad teams in the NFL playoffs this year. But
that's what happens when you expand it out to so many teams.
I think I didn't feel that way last year to the same degree, but no, interesting. I am thinking that you made the right call with Danny Dimes, but we will find out. Yeah, any other thoughts for to share with Katie? As I'm sure she will watch this later. And
we do have a written statement from Katie to provide.
Sure. Let's listen to it.
So she says, hold on 1 second. Says, sorry I couldn't make it onto the podcast this week. I'm going to be sloshed and I don't want to embarrass myself. All hail Satan.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Well,
yep.
Not something I can get behind, but yeah, I wish Katie all the best in fantasy.
If that's what she needs to get her team to come together, then so be it.
We also have me and her have a bet going on. The loser of this matchup will have to do the NFL combine drills.
Ooh. In front of I don't know how many drills are there.
There's 40, it's a shuttle, 3-cone, high jump.
High jump, long jump, and bench, and the tests. Yeah.
There's the Wonderlick. There's the measurements. So we'll see how many we end up doing. But
that sounds fun. Nate, do you want to change ours to that? I don't mind really doing those.
I think you're certainly welcome to take on the loser here, but you're not getting out of singing at this point. I certainly have some very cruel songs in mind that I'm going to be happy to suggest to the rest of the league when this thing is all finalized on Monday. But yes, no, thanks for joining us, Shane. I'm rooting for you begrudgingly, or maybe I'm not. Double jinx. And yeah, good luck this week.
Thank you. Appreciate
Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's.
All right, and just one more thing before we go today, we have Caitlin joining us for her hot takes. Listen in. Evening. I know it's a Friday night and you have a busy schedule, researching takes for other shows, I'm sure. But we're happy to have you.
Happy to be here. Just wanted to talk about how the XFL is the only saving grace for the sub-casual viewer.
Talk about the sub-casual viewer again. The many of those I'm sure watch this show, so they all appreciate it.
Yeah. It just seems like the XFL is trying to make things more interesting. Only 2 timeouts instead of 3. You can pass forward twice if one of the passes doesn't, if the first pass doesn't pass the line of scrimmage, you could pass again. You only have 60 seconds to review a play.
Now I'm curious, Caitlin, do you know what a line of scrimmage is?
I think it's the line they line up at. Right?
Very good.
Yeah. I had trouble understanding the kickoff rules, but apparently they're meant to be more safe and more interesting because the NFL made a lot of kickoff reforms to make it less safe, or no, to make it more safe.
Yeah.
And the XFL is trying to make the kickoff interesting but safe.
Right. NFL did take a couple of rules from the kickoff from the XFL there. I did not know that they implemented the double forward pass rule there. I know Oregon tried that a couple years ago in college and got a touchdown out of it, but then they called it back because obviously that's illegal. That's actually really cool to think about.
Any thoughts?
Yeah, I guess you didn't mention before that you had to be the line of scrimmage for the second pass, so it seems like it may draw up some more interesting play designs, but I don't know if
That's part of the rationale for it.
I don't know that it's going to shake up the game all that much.
Then also, I guess a big difference is for the kickoff, or not the kickoff, that when you punt to get the extra point. Am I using the right words?
Extra point.
Yeah. They don't do that in the XFL. They do scrimmages, and the further back you do the scrimmage, the more points you get.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I thought that they implemented that rule, which is pretty cool. But you can get multiple points, obviously, instead of just one for an extra point. It makes comebacks a lot easier.
Add some drama to the game.
I do like that when extra points are boring. I mean, when they get missed, it's just frustrating and not really interesting. So I like that rule and would advocate for that, except for that it would mess up all the scoregamis and stuff.
Scoregami?
Scoregami is when one score happens that's never happened before in history. But yeah, I mean, making more rules like that, I think only adds to scoregamis, which are really interesting. I think it'll be really fun to watch XFL this spring.
Yeah, it feels like it's straight out of backyard football to some of these rules, but yeah, I don't mind that one.
Also, all the ref teams or the official teams have one woman, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah,
it's nice. They're definitely doing some things to progress the sport that I think the NFL will ultimately take notes on. I don't think they're going to be pulling away any fans just because the player base isn't really there.
Except maybe me.
Again,
unfortunately, Boston doesn't have a team though.
No, they're all like in the South, right?
I think there's DC. So they're the DC Defenders or something.
Yeah. I almost went to a DC Defenders game one time when I was in DC, and then we decided to go to a bar instead.
I mean, I guess you can't go wrong with that. But if it were between an NFL game and an XFL game versus bar, I guess bar first, then XFL, then NFL.
You know, I would agree with that just because it's probably a lot cheaper.
I should look up how much the tickets cost.
Yeah, I can't imagine they're too much.
Do you think Matt's a big DC Defenders fan?
I don't think Matt cares at all about the.
That was at that same bar that I went to when we skipped the game, so I don't know.
No, but it's I support the league in general, but I don't think they're going to be pulling a lot of my time away from the NFL.
Oh yeah, I think the season starts in February anyway.
Before the Super Bowl, interestingly.
Yeah, I wondered about that. I don't know why.
But yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. It also competes with the Australian Football League season, which is the one I really care about.
What? It's I don't know. I have to choose my sport. I'm running out of time here. I mean, and then obviously, field handball doesn't exist. That's a problem. or doesn't exist anymore, really.
True.
Yeah.
Well, Caitlin, thank you for your hot takes.
Thank you.
We'll have you on next week. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us this week. Enjoy watching the NFL season, second to last week. And let's see who prevails, Shane or Katie. Take care, everyone.